you, Art, for coming in, and Greg, Arthur's son. I really appreciate the time that both of you are taking to come in. I am a nurse, and I'm an advanced care planning facilitator here at our organization. And what that means is that we try and help people with chronic illness, like yours, try and plan ahead, try and plan for perhaps a complication where you wouldn't be able to make your own decisions, Art.
Yeah.
And then the physicians would look to Greg to
Right.
make decisions for you.
Right.
So I hope that this is really an opportunity for both of you to learn, for you to talk about what's important to you, and ideally for Greg to be as prepared as possible. We're going to do that through a lot of questions that I have for you. So that's what the tool is that I have in front of me. If I look down, it's just to make sure I don't forget any questions.
Right.
But you can ask me questions as well.
Yeah.
And we may talk about some things that I don't know the answers to, but then we could make a list of questions for your physician.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the game plan. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
All right. The first question, Art, is what is your understanding of your kidney failure?
Understanding my kidney failure started maybe about 10, 12 years ago. I had an operation for heart failure down in Arizona, and when I had some stents, they got plugged up, and they unplugged them, and then when they got through with the operation, my creatinine count,
Creatinine?
yeah, was 3.3. And he said, that's too high, we don't want to let you go. Well, for 10 years, I've been holding it very close to 3. And here about 2 years ago, a little better, all of a sudden I got itching so bad I couldn't hardly stand it. I really ended up down in emergency. And down in emergency, in their tests they took, they found out that my creatinine was 4 point something.
And you knew what that meant, huh?
And my family doctor said, when I got to him a week later, he said, I better turn you over to a kidney specialist. And that's when I got started with Dr. Balaji. I don't know his last name, and he goes by Balaji.
Sure.
But he's been very good with me. And he told me that I was set for dialysis. And he asked me what I thought of it. I said, well, it's another thing I have to do, you know. And he says, that's true. He says, if your heart fails, there's nothing we can do about it. But the kidney, he says, we can do something. So I've been at it now for 2 years, plus maybe a month or so.
So the kidney failure happened because of your heart failure? Is that what you understand?
Well, I don't know whether it was a heart failure that caused it, or it wasn't the stents being plugged.
Right.
That wasn't what caused.
Okay.
I had the problem with before that,
Okay.
but not to that extent.
That's
see.
right. That's right. What do you know about the possible complications that might happen from your kidney failure?
Well, I really don't have the answer to that. I live with it, and I do what the doctor tells me to do. And I think it's his problem. If he don't do the right thing, why, I'm the loser, but it's his problem to lick it.
Sure.
No, I don't know of any restrictions that I have to have, except to watch the fluid intake.
Sure. I have questions about some things that are important to you. The first question is, what present or future experiences are important for you to live well at this time in your life? I think I know a few of them, but what future or present experiences are important for you to live well, that give your life meaning?
These are pretty, What do you look forward to?
Yes. What activities do you like to do? What things are important that give your, some people you say quality of life?
Realistically, I can't look forward to doing anything better than what I've been doing. So
Oh, that's wonderful.
You enjoy your out-of-town trips, right?
why
A golf outing or...
I go like on a golf outing. I play poker a couple times a week, and like I say, if anything, it would be watching my, I would say, grandchildren accomplish things, you know. So,
So,
personally, I look forward to being able to do what I am doing.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Your golfing, your
Yeah.
poker games, and watching your grandchildren be successful.
Yeah.
What fears or worries do you have about your health right now, your health condition?
Worries?
Fears or worries do you have?
Like I say, the only thing that I don't want is a lingering
Okay,
illness.
okay. You don't want a lingering illness.
I am trying my best to avoid that. But
Can you tell me what a lingering illness would look like to you? What do you think of when you think of something that's lingering?
what do I think of? Well, a form of cancer would be one. And I suppose a stroke, which would disable me mentally and physically. I've had friends that it's happened to, and like I say, I've seen the undesirable part of that.
Okay, okay.
No, actually, no, when I say look forward to something, I look forward to a quick
Yes.
death, and to avoid, like I say, the nursing home.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Well, who or what helps you when you face serious challenges in your life?
Well, this guy is the one that's he's the only boy that's locally here, and like I say, when I get frustrated, I give a buzz to him, and he's there within 5-10 minutes.
Anything else that helps you when you face serious challenges?
I'd say that my faith helps me accept a lot of things.
Yes. Then I'll switch to a different question about experiences you've had dealing with family or friends who've been seriously ill or who have died. And obviously Greg just mentioned one of your wives had kidney cancer.
Yeah.
What can you tell me more about that experience and what that meant to you?
Well, that was my last wife.
Okay.
And what happened, I don't know how to say this, but anyway, she was going to a doctor, and she was being treated for a whole year for yeast infection. And she had...
And it ended up to be kidney cancer?
She had cancer of the kidney.
Okay.
And I was very disappointed by that, because the urologist, as they come in there, he'd been there about 3 months. He said if I'd have known this a little sooner, I could have done something, but
Oh.
too far
So by the time
gone.
they found out, it was late.
Yeah, yeah.
Then what was that like for you to take care of her?
Well, she didn't last very long.
Well, have you had other experiences with family or friends who have been seriously ill or died that you remember?
Well, on the illness would be one of my very close friends. He's got a stroke. I used to golf 6 times a week, and the poor guy, he's had that stroke about 4 years ago. He still rides around in a golf cart and just putts.
Good for
but
him.
he can't speak
swing.
well. It's a really sad thing to see.
Yes. Now, what have you learned by watching those other people, and one of them was your wife, have a serious illness? What did you learn by watching them go through that experience?
Well, I learned how valuable some things are in your life. That's when you see somebody pass away, and I've seen a number of them now. To me, when I look at Kenny, I think that I can't believe that he's getting any joy out of life. He's tormenting himself, putting even, No, there's two things involved, First, it's you're putting a burden on somebody else, and second, it's a financial thing that gets way out of line.
So that's important to you.
I don't want any part of that, see.
You don't want to be a burden on...
He's always been that way, though. See, he would think more of the inconvenience to myself.
Yeah.
But see, he's already lived it. He went through that with his second wife.
Right.
She was in a wheelchair. He had to
Right.
lift her in and bathe her and do all those things.
Right.
And he knows what that did to his lifestyle. And then but it's always been his, it's been an unspoken thing between the two of us that he doesn't want to be a burden. And given that situation, then mentally he would know I am a burden, or he would feel that way. But I mean, myself, speaking for myself, I'd say, well, given that, there'd be other changes.
Well, from those experiences that you've talked about, have you talked with Greg or other members of your family about what choices you might want if something happens to you and you're unable to make your own decisions? Have you talked to Greg or...
I think Greg and I, we've had conversations where I told him, about no life support.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want to end up being fed and all that crap, So if it's like he'll have to make I'm putting up a lot of pressure on him. He'll have to make a judgment that this is it. Let him go.
Okay. Okay.
I want him to do that.
Do you think you've had enough discussion with Greg? Do you think you've had
Maybe
enough?
haven't had enough.
And I know you've made a few decisions, and what we're going to do now is take this conversation a little bit further to talk maybe about more specific situations that could occur, Arthur, and talk about what you would want, and then give our Greg a chance to ask questions, because it's very obvious to me that you know what you want, and that you trust Greg.
Yeah.
But as you know, you could have a sudden complication from your kidney failure or your heart condition that would leave you unable to make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And as we talked about it before, you've asked Greg, who you really trust, and you think he knows what you would want to make decisions for you.
Yeah.
Very honestly, most people haven't always talked quite specifically enough.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I want to move on to a few more specific kinds of situations, so that Greg can hear more of what you're thinking, and hopefully ask questions and be better prepared if he were ever in that position. Because I know, Greg, like with your mother-in-law, even though you know you have to make decisions, it can be a very tough kind of position to be in. So our hope in talking about some situations, it'll better prepare Greg, and you'll get a chance to be a little bit more specific maybe than you've been.
Yeah.
Does that sound fair?
Okay.